Greetings, I'm Maggie Moon. Thank you for joining me today, where I will be discussing candle signs and omens. The art of reading candles has long been used by witches to read as they burn when we are performing spells. How a candle burns can really tell us a lot about how our spell is going and give us some clues as to what we may need to do in order to ensure our success for either ourselves or for our clients. First, I'm going to discuss how to read standing candles that you either put in a holder, or they are types of image candles and things like that, like male and female. So let's say you are doing a spell to bring some lovers together, let's say. Well, if the one candle, so let's say the male candle, for the purposes of this, we'll say the lovers are male and female. Let's say the male candle burns down and the wax pools more over into that of the female candle, then we know that the male has a lot more feelings for the female than she does for him, if the wax does not pool into him as well. So we may take this as an indication, if we're doing a love spell working to bring these two people together, that we will probably need to do some extra work to help her come around to that. Also, when you are burning your standing candles, how the wax melts is a good indication. So as the candle is burning and the wax drippings are along the side, you can read those drippings and look for signs. So when you first light the candle, if the smoke first starts billowing a dark smoke, but then that quickly remedies itself, then you know there was some negativity there, and the spell and the spirits working with you on that particular spell have taken care of whatever that issue was. And if the candle burns down the rest of the way nicely and without any black smoke, then you can take that as a good indication. You'll watch the little wax drippings along the side and see what sort of symbols that may come out of the wax as it is burning. If you see hearts and you're doing love magic, this is a good indication. If you see hooded figures, okay, you have to go by your first instinct, what you felt when you saw that hooded figure. Is it an omen of death, perhaps, or is it an omen of spirits working with you, working with you to manifest the spell? Is it some spirits working against you? This will all come together as you watch the candle burn, and what color the flame is, what color the smoke is, and the different symbols that come along the way. If the candle burns completely down, that's a good sign as well. If you have a pool of wax at the end of the candle, you're going to examine that to see if you can see any shapes, any signs, symbols. Some spellcasters that I know, they like to try and manipulate the candle so that the wax will burn a certain way and create different shapes and things like that, hoping that it'll be a good result if they do that. And I do have to admit, in my younger days, I would sometimes blow a fan just far enough not to be a hazard, but blowing a fan that was directed at the candles made them burn faster, and I thought it would help the spells work all the more quick. You know what, as I've grown, I've come to realize that when you're manipulating the candle so that it'll make certain shapes, for me, from my perspective, you can do whatever you wish and whatever feels right to you, but I feel it's kind of like fixing the cards a little bit before you lay them out for a reading. Heart shapes in the puddles of wax, good indications if you are performing a love spell or a healing or anything like that. If you see different angelic symbols, you know, that could be a sign if you're doing a healing or whatever, that, you know, the spirits are helping, or you have like somebody from the other side that is helping. If it is a coffin type shape, this can be an indication that somebody is either working toward you, depending on what type of candle you were burning for what spell, or it could mean that your spell will be a success if you were doing a curse on someone. Sometimes when there's wavy sort of patterns in the wax, okay, this can either indicate that your spell is making waves, so it's having that ripple effect. That's how I would see it. Some people see it as indicating scorpions, which would mean gossip and things like that from others. So you would want to do a shut the hell up spell or something like that to remedy that. So twisted and turny, like pillar-like things in the wax can indicate turbulence or blockages. So you'll want to be mindful of that and do more workings toward your spell to help increase its success. I would do a reading to find out what the blockages were and then proceed from there. If you are doing a lust spell and the wax pools in sexual organ type shapes, that's a good indication. But also, some people have said that it has been an indication of potential venereal disease. That's just what I heard through the grapevine, talking with other witches throughout the years. I always took it as a positive indication if I was doing a lust spell for a client and, you know, the pools of wax were in the shape of sexual organs. I thought, yeah, right on, you know, it's working. And I've received, from the feedback that I've received, that has been what the symbol means when I see it in my workings. So if the standing candle lets out a lot of billowy dark smoke at the beginning but clears up toward the end, then don't worry about it. Your spell is doing the work, it's doing the job. If it's the opposite, if it starts to burn clean and then it's dark smoke, then you know there's something interfering with the success of the spell. It could be another practitioner, it could be other blockages that you have. You will want to watch the candle for further indications of what the omens might be, and then do a reading at the end and proceed from there. Now, I once did a protection spell. Every once in a while I will do a return to sender spell, and I'll just do my protective work and things like that. Sometimes just as a precaution every now and then, just to make sure the walls of protection are up and strong. And in this one case, I had a feeling that I should just do a protection spell. So I used a beeswax candle, and the candle burnt with, so as I had mentioned earlier, pillars in the wax can mean blockages. Whereas in this case, because I was doing a protection, okay, the way the candle wax burnt was like a wall of protection. And I took that as an indication, a very strong indication, that my working blocked what was being sent to me. If I can find a picture, I'll put it up. More often than not, I enjoy working with jar candles. They're my favorite. I make them, I buy them. I do a lot of spells every day, and I just feel more secure with a jar candle. I know that I can leave the working running, the candle going until it burns out. I know that it'll be safe. When you first light your jar candle, again, if the smoke burns black, but then it calms down and it burns clear, that's an indication the magic is doing the trick and, you know, didn't meet much resistance. So your spell is working and progressing nicely. Now, sometimes along the sides of the glass, it'll start burning black. So you'll want to keep an eye on that. If it's just like putting black soot along the jar, just a little bit in the beginning, but then it burns down clear the rest of the way, same thing. You know that there was some resistance or some blockages, opposing forces, but the magic, your spell was able to work through that, and things are progressing nicely. Or if it burns clear and then the black soot starts near the bottom, okay, that's an indication that It's usually a strong indication that something has happened that will now affect the results of the spell, and that it won't be as successful as it could be. Or it could be that whoever you were working the spell for, or toward, I should say, either they picked up on it and now they're working to counteract your magic, or they have hired somebody else to do it, type of thing. So that's an indication of a blockages or spirits interfering with it. And then you'll watch how it burns the rest of the way, but you're likely going to need to do more to get your desired results. Whereas sometimes you'll get a white soot like this. Okay, so it's just a nice white soot around the jar. This is the opposite of what I just spoke about, at least for me when I'm reading candles, and feel free to develop your own interpretations, what makes sense to you. This is just a guide that I thought I would share with you to give you a hand. So to me, this means that there are spiritual forces that are helping out, okay? Helping the spell out. So sometimes, though, you would want to, it would be good to see like the white and then clear, but for this, the white, went all the way down. So there was a lot of help with this spell to get it as far as it got, But I would still take this as an indication to repeat the spell and watch how it burns. And I would do a reading, of course, on how to proceed with that, and obviously give offerings to the spirits that helped me out with the spell. So it can also be an indication. So let's say it starts off with the white soot, so you're getting help, but then it starts turning to black soot along the side of the candle jar. Then that means things were going nicely. Your spiritual helpers, your daemons, whatever it is, were helping you out, but then there's a blockage now, whatever it may be. The person is counteracting your magic or doing their own, or something happened that would interfere. So you would want to watch that for more signs and more direction, and again, do a reading and do more magic. Okay. Now, sometimes there's a little bit of a wax plug left at the end. So this much or more, in my opinion, means that I have to do the working again, okay? Because it's not quite done. So for something with the white soot and then the little bit of remaining wax on the bottom, I would likely repeat the same spell and see how that goes. That's just, but I would go by how I felt, because there's energy around the candles and you can see how the flame is burning and stuff. And you'll get a little bit more insight. And sometimes you'll know if a reading needs to be done, or if just reading the candle is good enough. Trust your intuition. You'll know what to do. If it's the opposite, though, if it starts off with the black smoke or the black soot, and then the black soot changes to white, well, that's an indication that things were being blocked, but now, due to the help of helpful spirits, the way is clearing and your magic is going to be successful. So if it burnt all the way down and then clear to the bottom and all the wax was burnt away, I would take that as a success. But if it left a little bit of wax, you need to repeat your spell. Sometimes the black will go completely down the jar of the candle, and this is a sign of a lot of blockages. So in that instance, I would really consider adopting a new stance, okay? Approaching this from a different angle. So do a reading, meditate, ask for help, and approach it from a different stance and see how that goes. Sometimes you will see black will just burn down on either side, black soot on either side of the candle, and the rest will be clear. So this to me indicates that the individual who the spell is being done on their behalf, whether it's myself or for a client, I know from that they are actually creating blockages to their success. So we would have a conversation and a consultation about that, and a reading, and some more guidance would be done. And then get that all sorted out and in check. And if the black completely goes around the candle, I would really take that as an indication that someone is working against you, and I would definitely do work to find out who that is so we can end that right quick. And I would also suggest that you do a lot of protection and uncrossing magic to make sure that everything is in order for yourself, to keep yourself safe until you can squash what's being sent to you completely. If there is black soot near the end of the candle, that can also indicate that someone sent something negative toward you, okay? And that you need to examine that, figure out what that is, and remedy that, deal with that for your success. It could be that somebody is working to block your spell, or whatever it may be. So you'll take action. Sometimes your glass jars will crack. Yes, there are factors we can look at. Did we put too much oil in there? Are there temperature fluctuations? Things like that. We have to, consider practical applications too. You don't take a candle out of a cold car in the winter and then light it immediately. Chances are it's gonna crack, and that's just what's gonna happen. But if there's no temperature fluctuations, you didn't overdo the herbs and oils, and the candle cracks. Let's say the candle cracks a little bit, okay? I interpret that as something was being directed toward the person I was casting the spell for, and it was blocked. It was, the spell held its own, and it was protected, and I would continue to monitor how the rest of it goes. And if there's more cracks or black soot or any of those other indications, a big plug of wax on the end, then I would know we have to do more work, obviously. But if the candle completely cracks and shatters, let's say so if it cracks all the way down, or if it shatters, that is a really strong omen that there's negativity being sent in your direction. Some people indicate to stop the spell right away. I know if there's negativity being sent in my direction, or in the direction of one of my clients, I'm not going to advise that they stop and do nothing. I'm going to advise that we do a reading and find out what it is. Is it your inner instinctual guide telling you to stop? Is it your ancestors, your spirits, whatever? Okay, then we'll stop. But if it's someone sending something your way, or someone blocking you in any way, then obviously you would need to take action to remedy that and not have anyone blocking your success. So sometimes you'll notice, as I spoke about, there's little symbols and shapes in the wax. Well, you can get the same with the soot around the side. So you would read if there's any patterns in the soot, whether it's black soot or the white soot, as in this candle. You'll see, like here I see a phoenix. There's a lot to do, you know how I said white often I feel indicates that you have spiritual help, like some spirit helpers are assisting you along. And this one, it's all winged creatures, clouds, a phoenix rising from the ashes. So these are all positive omens. So, that'll influence your next steps. I'll be doing a video in the next little while about how to read candle flames. So be on the lookout for that when it comes out. If you have any questions, or if you want to share any of your observations, how you read candles, what certain things have meant to you over the time, or any of your experiences, kindly leave them in the comments below. I am very interested, and I'm sure other people reading the comments are interested too. The more we share, the more we grow together. And until next time, I wish you dark and wild love.